Hey, 8th grade, we're going to start a new project today. So for those of you that are e-learning, we actually have some sketchbooks now. So every 8th grader got a sketchbook, courtesy of Miss Shavers, and let me buy a bunch for all the kids here. So these are sitting in the front office for you e-learners, and you can come get them whenever. So if you want to start this project when you get these, it depends on when you're going to go, all right? If you think you're going to get it anytime soon, then you can hold off. Otherwise, all you need is a blank piece of paper. And I will try to attach some files with what we need as far as the printed material. And for right now, really, just a pencil, okay? If you come get the sketchbook, the pages inside, we only got about 50 pages. So let's make sure that all of those pages are for my projects. And don't do any extra drawing in them. We might need them all year. The cover, you can put marker on the cover. You can tape stuff on here, whatever, however you want to design it, however you want to design the back. That's totally up to you, okay? So we're going to get started. So to get started, just make sure you got a pencil. You are going to receive a couple different examples of some text. So I have some pages from an old book that we are going to use. So you're going to get a couple of those. In class, they're getting a Xerox copy. I will try to make some files for you guys at home so that you can use some of this stuff. Or you can print out your own text. It's nice that these are a little bit smaller. So for my sketch, let me open up my book here. For my sketch, I want this to be able to fit on the page. I may trim around the words a little bit so that it's a little bit smaller. I'll show you that in a second here. And then we're going to do a drawing on this page that's going to incorporate this text. So what we're doing is we are trying to look for some interesting words in here that will form a sentence that will be something that we can illustrate. And we want to keep that sentence at least about 7 or more words, and very descriptive. But you got to remember, you're looking through here. If you think something's cool, you also got to be able to describe it in the drawing form as well. So for mine, I found a fat-looking pigeon in sunglasses, raised his fist to fight. And so I thought that would be interesting. And we want to make sure that it reads like a sentence. You can't just have a word here and a word there and a word there. It should read that way because we're going to get rid of all the other words with some color. They'll still be there, but we're going to color around them. And these words are the ones that are going to show for our illustration. All right? Once we have that, what we're going to do is we're going to put this in an area on the page. And before we'll eventually glue this down. But before we start that, we want to mark our corners, I think, before we get started. We don't want to glue it down just yet. So I'm going to mark my corners so that I know that's where they're going to go. And then I'm going to start working on my drawing. And the drawing is actually going to be part on the page here and part on the text. And so the one I was working on, I've got a smaller version here. All right. And so you can see here that when I drew, I tried to draw a little bit on. Here, we'll use this one. This one might show up a little bit better. I tried to draw a little bit on the paper and a little bit on the text. I did not want to go over where my words were at, so those lines kind of stop, and I kind of gave them a little bit of a circle so that I knew where to stop. I'm going to keep those the way they are. And I just want to get a line version of this drawing that's just going to kind of fill this space here. All right. Next week, we will talk about coloring it in and going from there. But right now, probably the hard part is coming up with that sentence, trying to find something that's interesting that we can illustrate. And then, like I said, we're going to get that on that piece of paper. I would mark the corners so that we knew where we were going to line it up. And then when we draw, we're going to hold that down as we draw so that it doesn't move around, so that we can get our illustrated version of it that's going on the drawing paper and the text, so that we get a nice little line drawing. You can see that mine's not very detailed right now. I just kind of got in the rough sketch, and then I'm going to add some details as I go. So that's why it's kind of light in here. And so that's what we want for next week. And then you'll get another video on how to complete this. All right? All right, just make sure you take your time when you're going through that text and make sure you find an interesting sentence that you can illustrate. Don't just pick something just because it's there. And remember, you want to try to shoot for about 7 words or more in the sentence, because that'll give a lot of different descriptions that we can add to this drawing, all right? This is probably the hard part, making sure you come up with that, and then getting that line drawing for next week so that we can add color, and I'll show you how we're going to use color to show maybe some different emotions and get that whole sentence to stand out in a nice picture form as well, all right? Don't forget, e-learners, there's sketchbooks waiting for you whenever you want to get them, whenever it's convenient for you and your parents to come get them. That's fine. They'll be there for a couple weeks, so don't rush down to get them, just when it's at your earliest convenience. Have a great weekend, and we'll see you next week to finish this up.